4th. And as I promised you last year, we are suing the federal government.
The announcement was in line with a resolution passed Thursday by the Guam Solid Waste Authority requesting that the island's chief executive pursue legal action under the Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act of 1980, also known as CERCLA or Superfund. Board Chair Andrew Gale.
If there is any possibility that the Navy could help contribute to the cost of closing that dump under the CERCLA guidelines, then it's definitely worth the shot. And I think we owe it to ourselves to do everything we can to help offset any costs associated with that.
As we reported, the Navy built and used the Ordot landfill for 13 years to dispose of municipal and military waste before transferring it over to the local government. The dump was added to the national priorities list, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency issued a Superfund record of decision noting that the Navy was a potentially responsible party for environmental contamination at Ordot.
I don't want to look back several years from now and say, man, we should have done that, right? So let's look at it now.
The governor agrees.
The federal government must not ignore that if any leachate has harmed that Longfit River, a great fraction of it came directly from their pollution. And we want to compel them to pay their sizable share of the cost to close Ordot.
And today, Senator Chris Duenas introduced legislation that would appropriate $400,000 for the governor to put out a request for proposal for legal services.
Is that we're going to go forward with this, and it basically just sets up an RFP, $400,000 appropriation, and then what the governor also has authority to do is to allow for the firm that responds to the RFP, or whatever firm gets awarded, then he's allowed to pay them 30% of what is recovered, which is normal legal compensation, in order to make sure that the government of Guam doesn't have any more investment beyond the $400,000.
Duenas says it's time the federal government pays its fair share.
You created an environmental hazard, you got to help us pay to fix it.
Federal Receiver Representative David Manning said Gershman, Brickner, and Bratton and the Attorney General's office both looked into the possibility of suing the federal government before and determined there was no likelihood of success. But the Guam Solid Waste Authority board believes it's worth a shot.
I think it's definitely worth investigating because of the return on the investment is very large. On that small investment, it could be very large.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Mindy Egan.